Greetings! EA announced a new patch. It's already been released on PC. It's going to be coming to console next week, I imagine. As usual, there is quite a large part of the community that seems quite unhappy, to say the least, with the patch. And in today's video, I want to say why, in my opinion, everything that I've seen so far complaining about the patch is just wrong. The patch is obviously not perfect, but there is literally nothing negative about it. And before we get into why, let's look over what essentially they're doing. The main points of the patch, at least for me, are that they made changes to the stepovers in an attempt to nerf them, obviously, and make them less effective, thank God. And that the overpowered skill canceling mechanic that triggered unintended blocking animations has been addressed. Now, first things first, the stepover. Surely by now, most of you, if not all of you, already know what it is, what it refers to, why it's broken. But if you don't know, people are spamming it so damn much that I'm at the point where I'm wondering, are their thumbs mimicking the stepover motion throughout their entire day when people go to job, to school, and all that? Because surely by now their thumbs are twitching. Because they're addressing it, this is a phenomenal patch, and I'm so happy it's happening. Now, PC players have already been saying that it has worked, it has made the stepover a lot worse, but I'm gonna believe it when I see it. To understand why it was so broken, I mean, I made some videos on it here and there, but there's levels to this game. People were running around holding you to 30 or 40% possession despite significantly less passes completed and attempted compared to you. How is that possible, you ask? How can you hold someone to so little possession without passing the ball? Well, the answer is simple. You don't need to pass the ball if you can endlessly run around in semicircles with stepovers and ball rolls and all that kind of stuff. If you think that's fine, have you really played football in your life? Have you ever performed a stepover? A common variation of the stepover, as you would see it in real life, would be as follows. You step over with your right foot and you use your left foot to exit left. In FIFA, the most efficient way to step over would be as follows. With the defender to your right, you would step over with your right foot, but using your left foot to exit right. Is it possible to do that in real life? Yes. Does it make sense? No. Do you exit that way in real life as fast as you would in the game? No. The first variation would be the one where you explode a little bit faster. Why does it not make sense? Because if you did this in real life with the defender standing right there to your right, which is where it's the most effective in FIFA, you would literally be opening up the ball to the defender and he would easily toe poke it out. As you're doing the stepover motion, the ball is unguarded. In FIFA though, that's not the case, and it would give you some sort of magical boost and protection to never get tackled. Like, the defender would never grab the ball in this instance during a stepover, but somehow magically tackling from behind is absolutely unreal and the ball's actually covered. But here, where the ball has an opening because you're doing a stepover and opening up, no tackle is possible. Nope, that's how strong the stepover was. So even though you're literally going into defenders, why are people complaining about a change that is so good for the game? Because you have to understand, they claim that now scoring will be impossible. They claim that now casuals can rig their way through more wins. They claim that now AI blocks have no counters. First of all, the reason I say there is no negative to this stepover nerf is for a multitude of reasons, like the fact that anyone who wasn't exploiting the stepover because it was an exploit will be completely unaffected by this change, while everyone else who was exploiting it may have difficulties creating some chances at first. Good. Welcome to football. Well, FIFA 21 isn't really football. Welcome to trying to play football. Second of all, you'd think that without stepovers, people would then resort to hoarding possession more to counteract the fact that they don't have stepovers anymore, but that's not an issue or a concern. People were already hoarding possession with the stepover. They were literally using the stepover to hoard that possession. It was enabling them, so that was already a problem beforehand, and the hoarding of possession can only be solved via the addition of second man press and via the removal of passing assistance and the improvement of manual interceptions. For someone who wasn't spamming stepovers, this has no negative effects. If you were There's really just no time for pity, dog. How can there be? Speaking on behalf of anyone who didn't spam stepovers and also didn't play drop back, I don't care if it helped you against drop back. That was a nightmare for us, and you used it against people who used drop back and didn't use drop back. So I don't want to hear it, dog. It's not like if you saw me playing a high pressing line, you wouldn't use stepovers all of a sudden. You were spamming them everywhere. EA doing this is a big W. Now, should other things change too? Absolutely. There's a plethora of things that I would change, but there are no negatives to this patch. No matter how little of a change it is in the grand scheme of things, no matter how many other things there are on the list, this is a W. AI blocks are excessive, I will agree with that, but some of you complain for a block when the defender is right in front of you. For years, we have suffered with nutmeg goals when you were perfectly positioned in front of the shooter. Does it still happen? Yes. Does it happen nearly as much? Nowhere near as much. And a small minority of the comments tell me that all I do is criticize the game, but not only do I think that my criticism is fair, but in this case, I'm admitting that it was a great change to make manual blocking so good in FIFA. You can now finally be rewarded for well-positioned jockey sequences. Now, that's not to say that, again, they went too far with how the blocks work. That is true, but the positives is that there are a lot less nutmeg goals. I don't expect a medal or a reward, but like many others, I've been playing this game from release without abusing the bridge, which should be patched, by the way. I don't know how it still has survived, but most importantly, without abusing the stepovers. I've done it. Many people have done it, so why can't you? Why do you even play this game if every year you just look for something to phase through players? Look at it this way, before FIFA 21 came out, what would a normal person have asked of for FIFA? What would they have desired? I'd like to think that they would have asked for a football game where manual interceptions are rewarded, a football game where you tackle someone, you then get the ball and there aren't 30 rebounds, a game where finishing is rewarded, good finishing is rewarded, a great game where great offensive AI is prevalent, one that cuts open defenses and punishes drop back. These are fundamentals that would make sense. Nobody in their right mind before FIFA 21 would have sat there and said, I really hope that this year we're gonna be able to chain 55 stepovers in a row, man. I really hope so. Like, no one thinks that. How can you wish for something to remain when you never could have conceived it in the first place? You know why you couldn't conceive it in the first place? Because it's not football, and this should be a football game. So now for you to be sat there hating on EA for nerfing something that shouldn't even have existed in the first place, no matter how bad you claim blocks are, no matter how bad or how OP you claim AI, defensive AI is, two wrongs do not make a right. And the answer to beating blocks and drop back should never be stepovers like this year. You sound like the guys in FIFA 19 who defended the 180-degree first-time green time shots from 80 meters facing the wrong way just because drop back needed a counter. What am I hearing, bro? Why don't we add jetpacks then? Let's add jetpacks. Which brings me to the second main point of the patch, the changes to shot cancellations. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you perform a pass, a cross, a shot, or even a skill move for that matter, and then you press L2 and R2 together really quickly, you can cancel that animation and action altogether. Now, without going into it too much and how much of a gimmick this is, but the issue lied here in the fact that when using this feature to cancel shots, opposing defenders begin falling to the ground. Now, you might be saying that it's a skill move and it takes skill and ability to do so, and therefore it should stay. To that, what I would say is that no skill, no mechanical aspect of FIFA should be in the game just for the sake of it. If having fast fingers just for the sake of spamming something without really thinking of it, because frankly, this is how it would work. You would get to the box, spam this fake shot and canceling it over and over and see defenders near you fall over. If that's enough with no thought process whatsoever to deserve a defender to fall over, that isn't it, bud. Especially when this happened, and this is the most important part, this happened to defenders who were controlled by players. If I'm selecting a defender, why do you deserve to make him fall over because the animation you made happen force that. I don't care how fast you spam your little fingers on L2 and R2. I didn't get baited by that. But the AI is forcing my dude to fall. You think that's fine? No, 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 no. There's a big difference when the computer forces it down my throat. It's like the people who said it's fair if a completely blocked shot in FIFA 19 would go in because you timed that shot green. Just because you pressed circle twice with the right timing, all of a sudden you think that you go ahead of any decision making, of any logic, of any fairness in the game, and you think that shot should now go through my legs because you press circle twice. That doesn't create a healthy gaming environment, which is why when I see tweets like these asking why this aspect of the game was patched, is it not obvious that it's broken? I mean, to me, it is. And now Boris responded to that tweet, and by the way, Boris is someone I really respect a lot and I love his content. He did make a good point, and although I'm nitpicking here when I say I don't like the choice of his wording when he says the word compromise, it's true what he says. It's a different story when it's the AI controlled players that fall as a result of that feature, but a user controlled player should never fall over unless I did something myself to make my own players fall over. There's nothing to compromise there. It's the bare minimum. The offensive AI, to name one thing, could be boosted a lot more to help against drop back. There's so much you can do to increase the skill gap at a fundamental level, but instead, people keep asking for these gimmicks, for these shot cancellations, for step overs, and then they get removed when people complain and then they want him back. Now, if after all of this, you're still sat there mad, angry, upset that your little step over is gone forever, you're sat there thinking we've gone too far down this thumb half circle step over ring. Look, I don't use step overs. Plenty of people don't use step overs. Join us and play football on a football simulating game. I know, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think that you'll be okay without step overs.